Hello. I was just watching your TikTok. I posted that this morning before my fire alarm went off. Can you all hear me? I posted that. I had myself muted. That would be why. Can you all hear me? I posted that. I had myself muted. Also, there's an echo. Can you all hear me? Did that fix it? Cool. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time because it's still early, but while we do, I'm going to search this deck and let's do the traditional one as well for the Magician card. My headphone's falling out. There it is. Did anybody else have like a ridiculously hard time getting out of bed today? Was it just me? And that's on trusting your intuition. Something said pull from the top of the stack instead of the bottom, and it was like the 6th card in. This just wanted to go reversed. Some of y'all need to hear that you need to trust yourself, especially because I just said, and that's on trusting your intuition. And then this just casually shows up in the reverse position. Not a coincidence. Something about inner power in this collective could be important, like either tapping into that, recognizing that about yourself, embracing it. I don't know. Take it however it resonates, babies. My morning was like chaos. You live in BC. I saw that this morning. So first I open up YouTube every morning to put on subliminals while I have my coffee. And for something in me told me to scroll down. So I scrolled down a little bit and I saw a bunch of newscasts about like a mass shooting. And I was like, oh, that must have happened in the United States. And then I see British Columbia and I was like, what the fuck do you mean in BC? I also saw that most of the victims were literal children, which broke my heart. From what I've seen, the 18-year-old shooter, she killed her parent or her step-parent and her 11-year-old brother and then went and shot up the school next to her. There was an adult teacher and the rest of them were kids, which I was kind of shocked because this kind of stuff, I know that this is going to sound a little dark, but this kind of stuff only really ever happens in the United States from what I've noticed. So the fact that it happened so close to home, it's heartbreaking whenever mass shootings happen anywhere, but there's something about this one being in Canada that just hits me a little bit different. And I think it is because I am Canadian and this is just not a common thing in our country. It's devastating. One of the little girls was she was maybe 8. Not that it's not sad when it happens in the States too. It's just fuck, man. You were literally thinking I want to go home and go to bed. I'm so exhausted, but I don't know why. Literally. I honestly, my woo woo self wants to blame it on Mercury retrograde shadow period, and I'm pretty sure there's an eclipse coming up. So that stuff. And then we do have a new moon coming up on the 17th. So if any of you are really astral bodies, which is like people that are very in tune with the astral's energy, so like the planets, the alignments of the stars, etc., you're going to be more impacted when astrologically there's shifts. That's so young. Yeah, man, it was so young. My heart literally shattered. So, on a lighter note, today we're going to be talking about the magician. I should probably start, like, I don't want to say a lesson plan, but I should probably start, like, writing out what I want to do. Anyway, we're just going to kind of go with the flow of it. I like to just kind of leave it open. I'm going to show you two different renditions of the cards, and we're going to kind of do what we did last week, and you guys are going to tell me what you feel, what you see, etc., and we're just going to go with it, okay? So if you watched last week's lesson, we talked a lot about how reading the tarot is intuitive. It's more from a place of visualizing and seeing and understanding what you're seeing versus the knowledge of the cards itself. The knowledge of the cards itself is important to have, don't get me wrong, but having that knowledge is more like the basis. It's like your starting point. And then beyond your starting point, you're going to want to be able to understand what you're seeing and what you're feeling, because intuition is felt, not heard, okay? So, for this one, this is the first one that we're going to show. This is the Lightseer's Tarot deck. This is the Magician card. Welcome. We're just starting too, so perfect timing. So in this rendition, tell me what you guys see. No right or wrong answers. What is the first few things that come to your consciousness when you look at this card? I forgot to put myself on Do Not Disturb. What's your favorite deck? Ooh, it's like being in a tarot class. That's the goal. This used to be one of my favorite decks, but that new one I bought myself for Christmas has become my favorite. Crown Chakra, okay. Anything else? I'm also going to show you the traditional rendition. So tell me what you see off of each one of these cards. I wanted to do them separate, but something's telling me to put them together. Because if you look at them, they're very similar, but they're also very different. Because every card is going to be different. Every rendition, every illustration. Infinity, okay. The first thing that stands out to me is the infinity symbol. Not sure why. That's fair. The not sure why part of you is coming from your doubt, BTW, lovely. The infinity. A lot of y'all are pointing that one out. Alchemy, okay. I'm going to give it a couple more, just a couple more things. What else do you guys see? Elements, okay. Let's say two more. Alchemy for sure. We need two more, guys. Movement, okay. One more. Power. Okay, cool. I like that. So all of you are right. And I said this last week, and I'm probably going to say this every single time that we talk about the tarot cards. Whatever you hear, whatever you feel, whatever you see, that is the message in itself. Okay, so maybe those of you that are resonating with seeing the infinity symbol, maybe there's something about that that's important for you. Maybe there's something for those of you that resonate with the alchemy aspect. Maybe there's a part of you that needs to step into your alchemy or your client, depending on how you're reading the cards, right? So when it comes to the images themselves, some of the things that I always notice with this particular card is the energy that he's moving around him, which would be alchemy. The magician in a traditional sense, okay, I'm going to read to you what the key words are surrounding the magician card, and I'll show you the cards while I do it. So the key words for the magician is hidden power, magical ability, mastering unseen forces, and inner guidance. So essentially everything that you guys just tapped into without actually knowing the traditional meanings came through in the chat, right? So it's like even more confirmation of what I said in the very beginning of this lesson. Like knowing the basis of the cards is important, don't get me wrong, but at the end of it, knowing what you feel and what you see is far more important than knowing what the traditional meanings are. Traditional meanings are like a basis. They're a starting point, like I said in the beginning. You opened your business in September under the name The Magician. Ooh, I like that. So now I'm going to ask you guys to look at these two cards and tell me what differences you notice and what similarities. So do you notice any similarities? Do you notice any differences in the art or the illustration? I think it's interesting that you can't really see this one as brightly. I'm going to have to get another piece of lighting on this side, I think. Yellow, okay. The as above, so below symbolism. I love that. What other similarities do we see? Different but similar, yep. Give me two more similarities. Again, there's never any right or wrong answers. Powerful, okay. And one more, everyone. Give me one more similarity. There's solidarity, okay. So part of the reason I'm going to end up repeating a lot of information because while the cards and the meanings of the cards and the messages that you're receiving are going to differ from card to card, the basis of understanding the tarot is going to be the same throughout every single one, whether it's the major arcana or the minors. So one of the other reasons that I'm showing you the traditional version, because this is like one of the first original OG tarot decks. Don't quote me, but I think this might have been like the second, if not the first. And then this... basically, this deck is what most illustration is going to be based off of. So the basis of whatever a card looks like from the traditional red or white one is going to be very similar within any other rendition. I choose the Lightseer's Tarot as the opposite card to show y'all because I find that it strives very far away from the original illustration, but it still shows the energy and the basis of what each card means and what each interpretation is. Because if you look at these two together, there's not a huge amount of similarities. There's the similarities that we've talked about. There's the infinity symbol. There's the as above, so below symbolism. There's the mastering unseen forces, etc. But a lot of it is very different in illustration. And that's because tarot cards are going to differ. But I feel like it's important to show this because I feel like it's important to show the polarity in different types of cards that you can purchase and you can use. So this one is more modernized, right? Like this is a newer rendition, whereas this one is from the original, which is why it looks a little bit less, I don't know, illustrated, if that's the right word. The magician is, yes, very much so, like working with your hands is important with that because it's about mastering that unseen energy, like we talked about with those keywords, right? Which is, like I said already, having the basis of the keywords is an understanding of the cards. Knowing what they mean is important, but seeing and understanding what you're feeling when you're tapping into that is what matters more. So because you in particular are seeing this being as working with hands, perhaps there's something within Like if this were a client reading, for example, perhaps this client or perhaps you, whoever you're reading for, is being guided to use their hands more, to create, to build something, whatever. And that is how you interpret the message, which comes with practice, by the way. So what was it that I wanted to read to you guys? So I think I told you guys in last week's lesson about the Fool, the particular guidebooks that I gravitate to still to this day. I might repeat those in every single stream, but I'm going to repeat it now for those of you that weren't here last week or for those of you that forgot to write it down. So the two books that I personally gravitate towards as a quote unquote professional tarot reader. To this day, I still go towards these. Sometimes even in client readings, if I'm having a hard time pulling out the messages for the clients, if I'm not seeing it, I will go towards the keywords, because sometimes seeing a word is going to jolt a message from the spirit. Okay. So the one that I personally use for myself, I don't really gravitate to this particular guidebook as often for clients, but I do gravitate towards it for my own personal readings, is the Modern Witchcraft Book of Tarot, and it was written by Sky Alexander. This is your complete guide to understanding the tarot. All right. So that's book 1. Book 2 is the Ultimate Guide Tarot Cards Meaning, and it's by Bridget Esselmont, the creator of Biddy Tarot. I'm going to write those in the chat for y'all. Also, for those of you that have Kindle Unlimited, they're both available under Kindle Unlimited. Fun fact, those of you that have Kindle Unlimited, you do not need a Kindle or a Kobe reader to use it. You can use it on an iPad and I imagine any Android tablet. They have a ton of witchcraft, spiritual, tarot, runes, like you name it. There's a ton of those books that are available on Kindle. What the fuck is the tarot? Is one of my books to help with awareness of tarot. See, I recommend the other factor is like finding books that work for you. So I personally like these writing styles. The book that I actually learned to read the tarot off of is called The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, and I'm pretty sure it's by Liz Dean. I haven't reached for that book in a very long time because I found that, I don't want to say the meanings were like ego-based, but like it started to kind of resonate that way for me. And then I discovered Biddy Tarot's guidebook, which I liked a little bit more because I found that the reversal meanings were more aligned. I also like that Biddy Tarot style has like the keyword shows you the upright meanings and also the reversal meanings. So it's going to give you that like one word that might jolt the messages coming through from spirit. So I'm going to write these in the chat before I forget. I love the sound of typing. ASMR for y'all this Thursday morning. My Thursday morning was chaos, to be so real. I was almost finished my coffee this morning when my fire alarm in my building went off. So that was super, 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 super fun. There was an actual like electrical issue in the basement or something, or in the garage. I don't know. All I know is I had to stand out in the cold for longer than I would have liked on this mid-February morning. Anyway, okay, so do we have any questions about the Magician? Do we want to talk about this more, or are we comfy moving on to the High Priestess? The other thing, actually, before we move on, I also want to mention that this combination can actually interpret as like inspired action. So sometimes when I see these cards coming up, whether it's in a client's reading or my own, it's sometimes spirits like gentle nudge of being like, hey, it's time to like chase something. It's time to take that inspired action and go after what it is that you want, what it is that you want to create. Whether this is like manifestation wise or whether this is like an actual action towards something, it's going to differ from client to client and reading to reading. But 9 times out of 10, I take it as that as well as manifestation abilities. This is usually an omen to me that it's time to sit down and start manifesting and start going after what it is that you want in your life, whatever it is that you're manifesting. Because a lot of y'all have heard me say this, and I'm going to say this until I am blue in the face. You can manifest till the cows come home. You can literally pour your heart and soul into manifestation practices. But if you're not doing the work, if you're not taking action towards making those manifestations happen, you're literally wasting your energy and time, because manifestations don't just into your lap. That's just not how life works, right? There's ads? To be so fair, that's how I get paid. I'm sorry, I love you. I officially hit like affiliate yesterday, so because of that, there's going to be like things that are going to pop up that have changed for streaming purposes, and like the ads are money in my pocket. I know they're really annoying, and I love y'all for it, but it is how I get my bag, unfortunately. There weren't ads in the other streams because I was still pretty new, but we hit the affiliate yesterday, which is a milestone, y'all. Like, that's super exciting. I've only been doing this for like a week, and y'all have already given me the ability to start, you know, making my dreams happen over here. So I'm going to say again, are we open to moving on to the High Priestess, or do we have any questions about the Magician? Actually, let's open that up first. Do we have any questions about the Magician card or anything? Like, no right or wrong, no wrong question, ask anything. I cannot fully see that emoji on my computer. Is it a dancing person? Thank you. It was super exciting, actually. I did not expect it to happen that quick. Thank you, guys. Honestly, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for all of y'all. Like, you really love me. Where is the High Priestess in this deck? If I were smart, I would have taken it out when I first started this process this morning. So again, everyone, what are some questions that you have for me regarding the Magician card in the tarot before we move on to the High Priestess? I'm going to let y'all spam the chat while I search for the High Priestess, and then I will answer any questions regarding the Magician card before we move on. I feel like this is also kind of ASMR. Like, at this point, I feel like I'm giving you guys, like, ASMR. Aw, thank you for the gift, babe. Is there ever a negative to... Okay, is it ever negative to get the Magician in a reading? I personally don't really see any of the cards as negative. I know that that's kind of like a controversial take because Obviously, there's negative meanings to certain cards. But when it comes to the Magician especially, the only time that I would see it as quote unquote negative is if it's in the reverse position. It can actually manifest as like manipulation, whether that's manipulation within you or manipulation within someone in your energy or your life. Like example, if I were reading for a client and that client got the Magician in the reverse position and they were asking me about like a partner, or a friend, I would immediately be like, hey, this person may not be as authentic as you deserve or as authentic as you desire. So like, that's really the only way I would take the Magician in a negative way. The reversal of the Magician, let's read that to you. How about I read the keywords? And again, like it's going to be what you feel intuitively, but the keywords surrounding the Magician in the reverse can actually symbolize manipulation, poor planning, and untapped talents. So oftentimes when I see the Magician show up reversed, and not every reader reads reversals, this is a personal preference. I said this in the last stream when we were talking about reading the tarot cards. Personally, I think if you're not reading in the reversal, you're not reading authentically, but that's my belief. We are allowed to have a different of opinion. The only thing I would say as a rule of thumb, if you aren't going to read them in the reversal, at least have the meanings of those in the back of your mind, because sometimes that is what the energy is trying to tell you. So whenever I see the Magician in the reverse, if it's about another person, I usually pick that up as manipulation. If it's about yourself, it could be that you're deceiving yourself in a way that you're not recognizing your own power. You're not recognizing your own abilities and your own gifts. It's all about the energy that you're feeling in that moment. And then 9 times out of 10, it's confirmation that you're not putting the plans into motion or taking action towards building the manifestations up. When you're reading for yourself, how do you stay unbiased? I've recently been pretending like I'm reading for someone else. So that's how I used to do it. When I first started reading, like when I first started noticing that I was reading from a biased place, when it came to my own personal tarot readings, I started reading as if I was reading for another person, and it actually helped me a little bit. Some readers recommend like recording yourself and kind of making it like you're recording it for like a friend or a family member. So same kind of context, or just recording yourself and like listening to it back is going to help you to kind of recognize when you're in that energy of reading from biased versus reading from authenticity. And the last thing I recommend, which I'm not going to recommend for everyone because you can get addicted to this, but I personally get zooted. If I know that I'm doing, or if I need a reading, if I need to read for myself, I'm going to get zooted. Because it's just, you know, it's a way to get your ego out of it. But like only do that if you're not addicted to weed. Okay. Anyway. What about pulling the Magician, but the majority of the spread is not as positive? Would that bring positive energy overall for the spread? So the only card that I've ever seen that happen with is technically the Sun, which we will talk about when we get to that one in the lesson plan. But traditionally, if the Magician were in the upright and the rest of them were negative, I would actually look at that as more of the negative aspect, or look at it in a perspective of your guides are telling you to kind of step out of your fears and like manifest a new reality or a new energy or a new shift. That is not what we do over here, whoever you are. If you want to go see half naked women on the internet, there are a ton of other people on Twitch that do that for you. All right. So I think that was all the questions we had. Are we ready to move on to the High Priestess, everybody? Or do we want to kind of stick with the Magician? What are we feeling? You are so welcome. That made me comfortable with Magician now. I love that deck. Amazing. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I like that I chose, for some reason, I just naturally gravitated towards the Light Seers and then the traditional because I want to show the duality of both. Because I find that, like I said, I don't know, like 20 minutes ago, I find that the Light Seers is like a non-traditional version. Like the illustration's very modernized and beautiful, don't get me wrong. But the illustration is very different from the traditional Radiant White deck. So I'm going to go ahead and assume we're comfy to move on to the High Priestess. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to show you all the cards, and I want you to tell me what you see and feel and whatever comes to your consciousness. Once again, there's no right or wrong answers. Just give me the tea. That's your yes card in the deck. The eyes on that card always have me in awe. That makes sense. My yes card is the sun. Enlightenment, free, open, duality. I love it. What else do we got? Give me five other things. Expansion of the mind. Okay. I like that. We only got 4 more. Give me 4 more, guys. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Third eye goes hand in hand. Okay, so we have 3 left. In tune. All right, 2 more. Just give me 2 more things. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? Patience. All right, 1 more. And love. Ooh, I like that. Okay. I like that a lot. That last one might be my favorite. Not that I have favorites here, but like I find that like not very many people pick up on the love aspect of the High Priestess. To me, it's self-love and like love of spirit, love of your spirituality. But I like that. I like that a lot. So, as I said already, like there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to this kind of stuff. There's no right or wrong. There's no black and white. This is about intuitive feeling. It's about what you feel inside of yourself or what you hear. So if you're hearing waves, then perhaps you're being called towards, like you said, calming practices. Maybe spirit's actually pulling you towards the ocean. In the traditional sense, we're going to talk about the keywords again. So the keywords for these cards are intuition, emotions, feminine power, imagination, spirituality, and the inner life. In a traditional sense, this is about trusting your intuition. It's about trusting the wisdom that's living within you and knowing that you have the knowledge to move your life or things in the direction that you desire. It's about understanding yourself. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper with tarot itself, each tarot card has symbolisms and things that are inside of them that also have meanings and messages connected to them. I personally don't really read in that depth of a way. However, the pomegranate on this card would technically have a meaning. The black and white pillars have a meaning. The crescent moon has a meaning. The blue, the scroll, like you name it. Every aspect of a tarot card is going to have symbolism connected to it. Everyone reads differently. So people who read in the traditional sense are going to have more of that knowledge than people who read from an intuitive standpoint. Neither one is right or wrong, okay? Like everybody's reading style is unique, and that's how tarot reading works. You've always felt the earth mover underneath my feet. I always feel more alive when I'm outside. I love that. So the other thing I do want to mention, every tarot card in the major arcana especially is connected to some zodiac sign. So in the major arcana, it's usually connected to an actual zodiac sign, whereas the minors are going to be more the suits. So like example, if you were to pull the 6 of Pentacles, it's more likely about earth energy, so Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, than it is about a specific earth sign. Whereas this one is going to be more connected to a specific zodiac sign, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I always get confused. I think it's Taurus, but let's pull that up. And all of this information, it should be in a guidebook that you use, okay? Because again, understanding the basis of the tarot is the important part in mastering the art of it. So the reason that I had mentioned the first book that I ever used when I first started reading tarot was The Ultimate Guide, A Beginner's Guide to Tarot. It's because it shows you the breakdown. So the alternative, I'm going to read them all to you. I'll also put this in the chat as well. So the alternative name for this one is the Paps. The number is 2. The numerology links is XI, justice, and XX, and then judgment. The astrological sign or planet is connected to the moon. The element for this particular card is actually water. So it's not a specific zodiac sign, it's just water energy, which would be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, which honestly makes a lot of sense. Then we also have the Hebrew letter Gamil. The symbol can be connected to the camel. The meaning is wisdom. The tree of life pathway is third between Kether and Triumphant. I'm not pronouncing that last one right. This is also connected to your fifth eye, also known as the angelic or some chakra for psychic activation. So that would be like your third eye chakra or your crown chakra can be connected to it. The key meanings, of course, are secrets, wisdom, and the spiritual world. So this particular book, I'm going to write it in the chat as well for those of you that are beginners and want to use this one. You will use this one until you don't anymore. That is my experience with it. But it has all of that information that we just talked about. So it's going to give you, it also bases it off of this. So the other thing I should have mentioned already, most guidebooks that you use are going to be using their basis off of the traditional illustration. So this one is going to be different because the illustration is different. Though if you have this particular deck, you can find their guidebook online. What is the J and B for? Let's look. There is a meaning to it. I just can't remember what that is. Literally found it immediately. The High Priestess stands in the enclosed chamber of the temple between 2 great pillars labeled B and J. Behind her is the veil decorated with pomegranates and date fruit. She wears a horned moon headdress. See what I mean? It's based off of this particular illustration. Like the Egyptian goddess Hathor, and at her feet lies a crescent moon. She holds the scroll that is partly hidden, bearing the letters T-O-R and A, indicating the Torah, the Jewish sacred text. She represents the principle of the divine feminine. Historically, she is the female pope, a virgin priestess, signified by her blue and white robes. Today, she might be the psychic, astrologer, or spiritual teacher. Her spiritual path is above the material values and earthly relationships. Her gift is wisdom and knowledge of the world beyond the veil, the realms of the gods, guides, and angels. The number of the High Priestess is 2, and it's echoed in the 2 pillars of the Temple of Solom. The High Priestess symbols her counterpart in the major arcana sequence is the card V, the Hierophant. So that is the, I think it's the next, it's the 5th card, sorry. Where were we? Or High Priest. Like the High Priestess, he is a mentor, but he works in a public office. The High Priestess, however, tends to her inner garden and the spirit in secret, walking between the earth and the plane and the celestial realms beyond. Separated by the pomegranate veil, she lives a dual life. She comes after the Magician card of unity and outward expression, and before the card 3, the Empress. The High Priestess reveals that we need super consciousness and awareness of the self before we can wholly engage in abundant relationships with others, which are embodied by the Mother Goddess, the Empress. She is the numerologically linked with cards XI, which is justice, 11, 1 plus 1 equal 2, and XX, judgment, which is 2 plus 0 equal 2. Both of these cards illuminate the need for discernment, wisdom, and discretion. The High Priestess astrology, I'm just going to read all of this to you. The High Priestess astrology, the High Priestess elements is the water. The element of emotion and her planet is the moon. The moon relates to intuition, the feminine cycles, rhythms of nature. She wears a crown showing the moon's waxing, waning, and full phases. See the High Priestess symbols. So let's go over to the symbols. Where is it? One of the things I do want to mention, the High Priestess to me always gives like Persephone vibes. So for those of you that are into Greek mythology, this might be something that you also resonate with, because if you think about it, it's like the life and death kind of vibe, right? I used to do readings but stopped because no one ever listens to my warnings. That's valid. And this is why I don't read for my friends and family. Okay, so the High Priestess symbolism in the Rider White, which is this one, the High Priestess appears with these magical symbols. Some of them reappear in major arcana cards. So learn to recognize them, and you'll soon find you can apply your knowledge throughout the deck. So again, you can do this if that resonates with you. It was something that never really resonated with me on a deep level because I found that the messages and what I needed to give to my clients or myself were coming through without that information. That doesn't mean that you don't need to know it or have it readily available to you, okay? Everybody reads differently. I'm going to repeat that a million times during these lessons. So, the two pillars, the initials J and B, refer to Boz and Jachin, names on the pillars in the Temple of Solom and the Old Testament, which were decorated with pomegranate designs. See pomegranates below. Boza represents elements of water and earth. See, I told you, I always get Taurus energy off of this. Fire and air is Jachin. The pillars are black and white to show duality, male and female, darkness, the light, and the earthly and heavenly dimensions that the High Priestess inhabits. The pillars from the portal to the otherworldly experiences and a deeper experience of the self. This symbolism can also appear in the Hierophant and Justice, which symbolizes balance as well. Then there's I honestly highly recommend if you guys want to know more about the symbolisms and what the cards are showing you in the details illustrated, definitely go take a look at that book I put in the chat there. It's actually funny because when I started doing tarot, I had a falling out with a friend and her initials were JB. Spirit said I should have known. Valid. What was that book series you recommended with Hades and Persephone? It's called The Touch of Darkness, if you're talking about the romance one. Phenomenal series, honestly. I like it more than ACOTAR. I don't know why people hyped up ACOTAR so much. It was not that great. It was good, but the second book was better than all of them, and the rest of them were just kind of mid. And I know that the author was going through something, okay? I know that the author was going through something, and I understand that capitalism waits for no one or whatever, but, I honestly feel like her series suffered, and now I'm, finishing the last book. I have, a chapter left of the Nesta one, and I don't even want to start the next series of hers, which everybody keeps telling me I have to, but I'm y'all hyped up ACOTAR, and I didn't even love it. Honestly, it took me almost a month to get through this last book, and that is a long time for me. But anyway, that series is A Touch of Darkness, and I wish I could read that again for the first time. Oh my god. You're welcome. I hope so. I have it. So, when I was home for Christmas, my mom, she reads too, but, she doesn't read romances. And my dad, God love him, he bought her the book, and she hasn't even, read it. She just kind of, opened it and was this is a romance, and, put it back. So when I was home for Christmas, because she's had it unread on her shelf for, 2 years, I was girl, I'm taking that. She was okay. So I brought it home with me, which is also weird because I read on a Kindle usually, so that's going to be a bit of an adjustment, but I have the first book, and that was my intention to read that next, but I don't know, man. Everybody hyped up ACOTAR so much that I'm second guessing Book Talk's judgment, which happened also when I read the Lord series, because that series was trash. Crescent City is way better. I read half the third book in the series and I could not get through it. Yeah, honestly, the third book was horrible. The third book is when she was going through the most. Her dad was dying, which, I empathize with, and I really want to reiterate that. I get it. She's human, but her art suffered, which is unfortunate, but it's also life, right? But during the third book, if you read the acknowledgments at the end of it, she talks about what she was going through. It's 11:11 a.m. where I live. So I did have empathy for that. And you could clearly tell that the book was just she was just writing it to write it. Cause she had a deadline. And then I just finished, I don't know if Nesta's book is the fourth or the fifth one, but I just finished that one. I think it might be the fifth one. Thorn of Glass is her best series, to be honest. ACOTAR is her worst, in my opinion. See, I wanted to read Thorn of Glass, too. Everybody keeps hyping that up, too. Honestly, my intuition told me I need to read Thorn of Glass next. But I don't know. I'm very disappointed in this series. And I loved book 2, man. I loved it. Anyway. This is not a book talk conversation day. This is a tarot reading conversation day. We got off topic. That's okay. It's gonna happen. What questions do we have about the High Priestess? Do we not have any questions about the High Priestess? My little turkey. That was 5 years ago today. I woke up this morning realizing it's almost a year since I lost her. It just got here, so I missed all the good stuff. You can always rewatch later if you want to. I always upload them. It automatically does it. If it ever doesn't, it's glitched. It is only uploaded for 7 days, though, so just keep that in mind. I'm just, like, casually watching my old stories while we hang out. Thank you, my love. Honestly, she was 18, so she lived a long, good life. I miss her a lot, though. It sucks. And my kitty Witty, she also just passed away. I look like shit. Like, literally a testament to healing. Look at this. Look at me. I'm so sad. I'm so depressed. I think this was, like, one of my most depressed eras in life. This was 8 years ago. Losing an animal is always so hard. They're so innocent and perfect. They are definitely playing together 100%. Like, as soon as she passed, I knew that would happen. You love my evil eye pop socket. I got this on Amazon. She loved you. Oh, yeah, she did. Like, she was such a great kitty. Like, she's just licking the shit out of my face in this. And she did that all of the time. All of the time. Anyway, that was enough down memory lane. I look back on my sad pictures. I do too. I feel like that's how you know you've healed. I honestly only picked up my phone to answer my man, and then I got distracted. ADHD. Because, like I said, my freaking fire alarm went off this morning. You lost my dog, and I'm still not over it. Relatable, man. I don't think we will ever be over it. Like, when I woke up this morning thinking about how it's almost been a year to the day that I lost Marley, I was like, I don't even know if I'll ever get another dog. I've been so drawn to cats lately. I've never had one, but I want one. Ugh, I loved having a cat. She was so great. The thing about cats is, like, all their animals in general, all animals' personalities are going to be very different, and they're going to differ from animal to animal because that's how that works. But cats are great. Like, they're also very spiritual. So, like, a lot of, like, brujas will tell you that cats are actually spiritual protectors, and they'll keep you safe from astral energy. It's almost been 2 years, and I'm not crazy sad, but once in a while I sit and miss him. Same. I think that's just normal. I think that's just how it is. Also, grief comes in waves, and it's one of those things that, like, will always come in waves. All right, so I'm going to assume we don't have any questions regarding the High Priestess. If we do, you have While I Search for the Empress, and I think this will be the last card that we learn today because I'm getting a little drained energetically, so we'll talk about the Empress a little bit, and then we will leave the rest of the stream open for, I don't know, I guess chatting or questions if y'all have any. Here's the Empress. You settled for having plants. That makes sense. It's been 2 years for me, too, since my Luigi boy. I'm sorry for your loss, my love. For all of your losses. For all of our losses. All right, so one last time, do we have any questions about the High Priestess? Oh, Jesus. That's heavy. That is a tough period of your life, love. It is, always. Can you briefly explain what that card is? What? I'm sorry. I don't think I understand your question, love. Happy early birthday. You asked your son for A Touch of Darkness. It's a great book. It's also available on Kindle Unlimited for those of you that have Kindle Unlimited. At this point, I feel like Kindle Unlimited should sponsor me. I need a Kindle. Highly recommend it. I bought mine used. You can just buy it secondhand. I found mine on Marketplace. I'm sure that in your area there's a ton listed. Depending on what version of it is, don't pay more than like $80. You could also get a Kobe. Honestly, I've heard that the Kobe's are better. But I wouldn't recommend buying a brand new one unless you know for sure that you actually want to keep a brand new one. I need the feeling of a book in my hand. Honestly, I felt that way for a really long time, and then finally I bought my Kindle, and I have no regrets. Like, now I'm at the point where my next series is literally a hard, like I told y'all, I have the book on my shelf, but I'm like half not wanting to read it because it's not the Kindle version. All right, we're going to move on to the Empress. Actually, the last thing that I want to say to Leesland, I have converted like 4 of my friends to Kindle because we all used to feel the same way. And now all of them have come to me and said, I wish I would have bought a Kindle sooner. So do with that information what you may. You can read in the dark, babe. Like, you can literally turn your lights off, grab your Kindle, and cozy up and read. Also, it's so much lighter. I should say I've converted. They're so much lighter than a physical book. Like, you're not holding the weight of a book in your hands. You're holding this, like, light little thing. And it's so much cheaper to buy a Kindle version of a book than a hard copy of a book. Mine doesn't read to me, but I have heard that you can get those too. I don't like audio ones. I'm not a really big audiobook person. I read in bed in the dark every night. It's so good, literally. I like the dark thing. I had the old version with no light years ago. I highly recommend them, man. My mom has a Kindle and a Mint iPad. She loves both. I did not like reading my books on my iPad. I prefer it on my Kindle because I find like I have ADHD, so like I can get really easily distracted, as y'all can probably tell from the last couple minutes of the stream. I love audiobooks for documentaries. That makes sense. See, I don't like audiobooks for smut because why is a stranger reading sexual scenes to me? That's just no. Anyway, let's move on. So, much like every other time, what do y'all see? Give me five things that you see, you feel, you hear, whatever comes off of the Empress. What is it? Yellow, life, motherhood. Okay, we need 2 more babies. Mother's kind of under the same classification, so we're gonna say we still need 2 more. Still no right or wrong answers, by the way. Birth, okay. Growth, perfect. Is there anything else we see here that we want to mention? Content, feminine energy, love it. Do you know what I always notice on this particular image? This little guy right here. Do you know what it makes me think of? I don't know why, but a Ouija board. Literally, since I started reading tarot, I always see that, and it makes me think of that little thing you use for a Ouija board. Contentment, bold, strong, strength. I love that. Strength, again. Okay. So, in a traditional sense, if we were like, okay, let's say I'm going to do it in this kind of a context. Excuse me. If we were sitting down and this card came out for you in a personal reading, what would you feel that Spirit was trying to tell you about this? Venus. Oh my God, I never thought of that, right? Like it literally looks like a Ouija board thing. This is Venus energy. You are correct. Creation. Okay. Trust your intuition. Okay. Is there anything else that you might think when you saw this card in your own personal reading? Moving on up. Okay, I like that. So one of the things that I want to mention, like I kind of want to talk about, especially with this particular energy. So if you look at these 2 cards, as I've mentioned throughout this stream, the depiction and the illustration is going to differ from tarot to tarot, but these 2 ones are very different, especially because in this imagery, she's sitting, she's looking head first, she's very powerful, she's very regal-like. This gives like queen kind of empress, like I run a city kind of energy. Whereas this one's a little bit more gentle, a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more motherly. She's pregnant in this imagery. She's not pregnant in this one. This gives more, I'm in tune with my feminine side. I'm in tune with myself. Both of them are very similar and both of them are giving off the same vibrations, but the illustration is giving you different messages, which is, in my opinion, why sometimes you're going to be pulled to certain tarot decks for certain readings. So let's say you're sitting down and you have something on the forefront of your mind, and then all of a sudden you have 3 different types of decks in front of you, okay? Your spiritual team is going to guide you to whatever deck needs to be shown in the illustration. Because again, remember that the illustration is where you're going to get the most messages. So I'm going to read from the Ultimate Beginner book that is in the chat here somewhere if y'all want to scroll up. So the alternative name for this particular card, which we are, as we know, is the Empress, is the Mother. The number connected to it is 3. This also connects to X2, which is the Hanged Man, and XXI, which is the World. The Venus planet, or sorry, I did that backwards. The astrological sign or planet associated with it is Venus. The element connected to this particular card is Earth. The Hebrew letter is Dalth. The symbolism is door. The meaning can be attainment. The tree of life pathway is 4th between Bine and Kokma, sorry. The chakras for this one is your heart chakra for love and your sacral chakra for fertility. The key meanings with this one are abundance, generosity, and creativity. I also love that in this particular, like the light years, there's a full moon in the background because I find that it actually kind of like reminds you of how connected to the energy and the astral and your intuition feminine truly is. And remember that feminine energy lives within all of us. So gender is inclusive over here. When you're reading tarot, there's no real right or wrong. There's no real gender. Okay. It's more about the energy that you're feeling. So traditionally speaking, feminine energy is more connected to fertility. It's connected to creativity. It's connected to your intuition, your spiritual sight, etc. I'm going to read the Understanding the Empress from that tarot. Okay. So the Empress, but I'm going to do it with just this one because it's based off of this imagery. So the Empress is the mother archetype, a symbol of creativity and abundance. She bears the symbol of Venus on her shield, relating to her planet. That would be this one here, by the way. Venus and the Roman goddess of love. In pre-Roman times, Venus was much more than the ruler of relationships. She was the earth mother and nature herself. She is seated in an earthly paradise where corn grows at her feet. A river meanders and then flows into a waterfall, forming an abundant pool. All trees are in full leaf. This is summer, a time of harvest and plenty. The Empress leans slightly back, supported by cushion or a bolster, and as if she has transplanted herself from indoors to her garden. While living in the material world, she stays connected to her roots and goes with the flow of life. Her pose and loose gowns may suggest she is pregnant, and some decks actually show an obviously pregnant woman. While the High Priestess is the lunar and the virginal, incubating herself spiritually to connect with the twilight realms beyond, the Empress manifests her femininity. She is the solar, earthly, and fertile aspect of womanhood, also interconnected by rich yellows, reds, orange, and greens colors of her card. Her number is 3, and the dynamic and creativity stands for the triad of mother, father, and child. In early decks, such as the Visicona, I cannot pronounce that name, tarot, she is shown with a black eagle matching the insignia of the card and the IV. The Emperor, she is clearly an empress rather than a queen. The four queens, so all of the court cards, which we will get to eventually, step into this energy. So like all 4 queens would technically come up to the Empress. It's the same for the Emperor. So the King of Swords, those ones. So this means that the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups are all integrated into the Empress energy, and they all become one with her vibration. It's like you have balanced out all aspects of yourself. That's why when you see this card come up in a reading for a person, it's typically an omen that you are in a very stable place. You're in a very secure part of yourself. You've stepped into who you want to be because you have balanced and regulated all the other aspects of you. Where were we? As the consort card of the Emperor, and the Empress also represents the wife, traditional relationships. She's also connected with the Hanged Man, time suspended, presumably during pregnancy, and the world, expressing the joy of birth or creation. The Empress is linked with Venus, the planet of love, and with warmth, relationships, light, and abundance. I kind of want to look up that tarot deck that they mentioned. I'm curious what it looked like. Where was that? Oh, it's this one. I'm sending the link, everyone. So y'all can see what I see. Do we have any questions regarding the Empress? What I do feel called to talk about with the Empress is part of her reversal meaning. But I'm going to leave it open for questions regarding like the energy, the symbolism, etc. before I dive into that. No questions? Comments? Anything? Empress compared to High Priestess. So the Empress compared to the High Priestess is more about your inner versus your outer world. Okay, so like the High Priestess is about your inner world, your intuition, your spiritual gifts, your practices, the wisdom that you hold within your mind, your crown chakra, etc. Whereas the Empress is going to be more about your outer world, so like connected to your family, your emotions. Your emotions are going to overlap in both. There are a lot of overlapping. But the High Priestess is more about the astrological and the spiritual realm, whereas the Empress is more about the reality and the physical realm. Does that answer your question? Hi, love your TikTok videos. Oh, thank you. Welcome to our new chapter on Twitch. Cool. Do we have any other questions regarding the Empress? If not, I am going to talk about the reversal aspects of her. So if you got the High Priestess and the Queen of Pentacles, what would that mean? So we will talk about combinations more as we get deeper into the meanings of each minor and major arcana. But one of the things that I love about the Biddy Tarot is if there's a combination that is meant to be shown together, you can actually find that in the description. But in my personal opinion, if I were to see the High Priestess and the Queen of Pentacles, that would be dependent on the reading and the client because the messages are going to be different every time. But if I just had to hazard a guess off the top of my head, that would be Spirit's way of saying, hey, it's time to pay closer attention to your inner world. It's time to pay closer attention to your finances, your safety, your home, and what you're nurturing. Because the Queen of Pentacles is all about nurturing energy. It's about your home life, it's about your financial stability, etc. So that would be Spirit's way of saying, hey, like your intuition is actually trying to guide you towards paying closer attention to this part of you. Where are you maybe giving your energy to others? Where are you giving that nurturing energy to people who don't really deserve it or not enough of it to yourself? Or where are you not being responsible with your finances? Or where are you feeling unsafe? That type of energy. But again, like in each reading, it's context dependent. So I can give you like a very generic explanation like I just did, but if you're doing a physical reading, the messages are going to come through that reading because it's based off of energy, okay? I hope that explains that a little bit. Have you explained the major arcana already? We're going through each individual major arcana. So last week we started with the Fool. This week we have done the Magician, the High Priestess, and we're currently on the Empress. We're going card by card. So we're not going to get through all of them in one stream. It's just not physically possible. We're going to do as many as we can and then, end off the stream. So this stream is going to end with the Empress. And then next Thursday morning, we will do the Emperor and probably the next 3 cards that follow. Good. I'm glad. Okay. So one of the things I do want to talk about when it comes to the Empress in the reverse position, this is something that I always like to warn people to pay close attention to. So if she's showing up in the reversal, this is a really big omen that you're blocked creatively, and there is a part of you that is depending on other people, whether this is emotionally, financially, mentally, or even physically. This is a huge omen of codependency. This is an indication that you're depending on others to provide for you or support you or whatever, and this is something that Spirit's encouraging you to kind of acknowledge about yourself and work through when it shows up in the reverse position or a client, whatever. You are a very good teacher. Oh, thank you. I was kind of nervous starting this whole thing, but I'm glad that it's helping you guys. So I'm like trying to think. My AirPods are, of course, dying. One second. Where are my other headphones? All right. I don't know why I don't just start with these. Because in hindsight, they work. And then my AirPods wouldn't be a problem. Can y'all hear me? So, one of the things I feel called to share right now is we are going to read the reversal meaning from one of these guidebooks. They are guiding me to go to that beginner's guide to tarot one. So those of you that have just joined the stream, in the chat, if you scroll up, I put 3 book recommendations for different guidebooks that you can use to understand the tarot a little bit better. One of the ones that I'm being pulled to kind of read from the most right now is The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, A Beginner's Guide to Tarot, and it's written by Liz Dean. It's on Kindle Unlimited for those of you that have Kindle Unlimited, which you can use on any tablet, I don't know why I wanted to say iPod, iPad, a cell phone, anything, okay? The app is available in any app store, I guess is what I'm getting at. You don't have to have a Kindle or a Kobe reader. So I'm being guided to read the reversal meaning of this card to you guys. So when reversed, the Empress shows financial issues, domestic strife. This may take form of a controlling or disruptive influence at the home. She can also show a creative block in your projects and someone who is needy and takes too much from you. The result of these challenges and demands is stressful, and there may be an impact on fertility if this is an issue for you at this time. Literally in terms of conceiving a child, or figuratively in terms of finding the place and peace of mind to grow an idea. So part of the reason that I personally steered away from this particular guidebook is because I didn't love that it was saying like example, like she, okay? Like I didn't love that. There's a part of reading the tarot that I feel like isn't talked about enough when you first start is you tend to read from a very ego-based energy. I feel like that's just a natural part of the progression of learning the cards and understanding their meanings. But if a guidebook is kind of pushing it on you that the energy is another person, it's going to be harder for you to take accountability of your own bullshit. So in my experience, when this card came up in the reverse position in my past, if I were to read it, I would have been reading it through the lens of trying to project that idea onto somebody else, which actually blocked me from accepting the codependent parts of my own shadow. So when I found Biddy Tarot, that's when things started shifting for me, because Biddy Tarot doesn't say she or this person, it says you and yourself. So I think that that's really important. And if you're going to read from a book that's basing it off of other energy, keep it in the back of your mind that 9 times out of 10, the cards are actually talking about you and not another individual. Because that's a misconception that I have found on tarot TikTok especially. Tarot cards are not going to give you insight into others. They're going to give you insight into yourself. They're not going to predict the future. They're not going to tell you what everything looks like. They're a tool. And they're meant to be used to help you unpack your shadow, dig into your shit. I'm not saying things can't be predicted. I'm not saying tarot can't come through. It's just, in my personal opinion, most of what you're reading in the cards, if it's telling you that this person's obsessed with you, or this person likes you, or this person whatever, that's ego-based reading. That's putting a bias into a tarot reading. Because in reality, the only way you're going to know if that's what this person is thinking and feeling and saying is if that person tells you directly. And the other side of it, it's not ethically comfy. And this is my personal opinion. I personally think ethics that's a big part of reading tarot. So ethically, in my personal opinion, it's not okay to read into another person's energy without their consent. So if someone's not physically saying to you, yes, I'm okay with you reading my tarot cards, you are technically going against the laws of karma, in my opinion. But again, this is my personal belief system. This is how I see things. And when it comes to collective readings, because I know some of y'all are going to be like, okay, well, then why do people read collectively? Collective readings are different. Collective is a whole lump sum of energy, not one individual person's energy. And if a person is watching a tarot reading based off of a collective energy, they're consenting to that energy reading. They're consenting to that, exchange. But if you're going to your own cards, let's say you had a fight with your boyfriend or your friend. If you're immediately grabbing the tarot cards to see what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're saying, you did not ask them for their permission to do that. Therefore, you are kind of going against, again, the laws of karma. And I don't really love to say the laws of karma because I'm not really one of those people that believes in that kind of context. But I feel like in this situation, I don't know how else to word that. Like, it's just ethics is a really big part of reading your tarot cards. So if you go into, let's say let's use having a fight with your boyfriend or your friend as the context, and you immediately grab a tarot deck and you want to know what happened in that situation, etc. If you leave it open for spirit to communicate with you, they're going to give you insight into your emotions, your processes, and what needs to happen in order to move through it. Not what that person's thinking, what's going to happen with the relationship, where the connection is headed. That's all ego-based energy, which is why I hate TikTok. Like, quite literally a big part of why I have been shifting my career as much as I have, because that is not reading the tarot properly, and in a way it's divination abuse. Anyway, the lecture part of this lesson is over. Do we have any questions before we end off this part of the stream? I am seeing a deck in my mind's eye, so Spirit clearly wants me to read a couple cards maybe for the last little portion. So many people dropped out of the stream as soon as I talked about ethical part. People don't like when their ego is poked. I don't know why, but I'm seeing this in my mind's eye. Which we did use in this week's Patreon reading, for those of you that are on my Patreon. I joined late. Do you mind a list of the cards you went through so I can catch up? We went through the Magician, the High Priestess, and then the Empress. And then next week, we're going to be doing the Emperor. Do we get homework eventually? I haven't thought about that. I mean, if you want to, like next week, we're going to be I would say we'll have time for the Emperor. Since we did 3 today, we'll probably have time next week for the Emperor, the Hierophant, and the Lovers. If you guys want to go look at those cards, get a feel of the energy, tap into them in your own way, and then, go from there. But so yeah, I don't know why, but I'm being pulled to this. And once again, I did use this on Patreon yesterday at the tail end of the weekly reading. So maybe they tie in together for those of you that come from Patreon. And do we have any other questions about the Empress or the tarot cards itself before we pull a couple of these? Because they gotta cleanse anyway. Actually, Spirit's actually guiding me to use the Sage. These headphones are noise canceling and I can't hear anything. Just like both good and bad. Why do we move through different energies so fast? Baby, I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that, but I think that's just life. I got glitching when you said that. Interesting. I feel like that is a question that is so deep, I'm not going to be able to answer you in a quick way. I think it's because, if I were to just answer that in a short answer, I think it's because energy is fluid and, things in life can happen at the drop of a hat. If you think about all the experiences that you've had in your adult life, think about how quickly some of those experiences happened. I feel like it's because life is a constant ebb and flow, and you can't control it, you can't force it, and sometimes things are going to go quickly, and sometimes they're going to go slow. Because you're still healing. That's a part of the process. All right, what do we have for this collective? Why was I guided to this deck? What is it? Why? This came up in yesterday's Patreon too. Somebody is blocking something, or they're trying. We also have chasing. What is this about? Interesting. We have theft. Photo evidence proof. Getting caught is what I just heard. And then we have shine. Your light irritates their demons. What? Something about that. I cannot make this up. Divination abuse. That's what made me want to pull from this deck, because I said that's low-key divination abuse. And I saw this card in my mind's eye, and then Spirit was like, you need to pull from it. So some of you, I don't know how to explain this, so I'm just going to do my best, okay? Some of you, there is a karmic energy, and please remember that is just a title. That just means somebody is in a lower vibration, all right? That does not make them a bad person. That does not make them evil. That does not make them bad. That doesn't make you better. It just means someone is in a lower frequency at this time because they're either in their period of healing, or they're not doing their internal work, because the unfortunate reality of life is not everybody does the work that they need to do to become the best version of themselves. There is someone, two things. I'm seeing someone trying to kind of obsessively find out what you're doing, where you're at, who you're about, who's around you. This could even be like someone from your past that you were involved with. Others of you, this could be a old friend of yours. Like, it could have been a past lover or an old friend. But there's something about how this person's trying to block whatever is coming into your life. Whatever they're showing me, like, flowing. The other side of this, those of you that are also maybe platformers or tarot readers or something about that, I don't know. There's something about like the divination aspect that could be of significance. Someone's been trying to destiny swap with you for quite some time. They've been trying to take your path in life, your purpose in life, and they're doing it in an authentic way. So even if this isn't about tarot, even if this isn't about like a healer or a professional tarot reader or anything like that, this is just somebody who's been trying to stand in the way of your path in life. Someone who's been trying to swap destinies with you, who's been trying to kind of like take your blessings, is literally what I'm hearing. And the ultimate reality is they're irritated by you. Your light triggers this person's soul, because this person's very stuck in the darkness. I also feel like this individual's trying to get proof that like you're doing things that you're not. I don't know how else to explain this. So for some of you, this person's trying to prove that you're chasing, that you're in a chasing energy. Others of you, this person's trying to prove that like whatever you're doing is for inauthentic reasons. Take it however it resonates, but whatever this is this person's own bullshit. This is this person's own drama. Some of you, especially like any of you that have platforms yourselves, I feel like this person is trying to like, in the past, they tried to gain clout off of you. They tried to like piggyback off of your success. Like ride your coattails just came through. And then something shifted because this collective is evolving. They're showing me this visual of like you stepping into yourself, evolving into yourself. Whereas this person's still in that darkness. They're still in that same frequency. And again, this doesn't make them bad. This doesn't make them evil. It just means that they're not doing their inner work. Yeah, I'm telling you, this person's trying to like dig up dirt on you. Like they want proof that you were doing something in the beginning that you weren't doing. I don't know. I'm hearing this individual, like, first and foremost, this person's a little bit delulu, and they, like, convinced themselves that, like, you were doing things for the wrong reasons, unethically, whatever. I don't know. Take it however it resonates. It's going to be different for everyone, but, like, this person's been, like, trying to prove their side of the story, but they keep coming up empty-handed. And it's because their story is not truth. It's a delusion. It's something that they made up in their mind. Like, I honestly feel like for a lot of you, this person talked a lot of shit about you in the past. And the things that they said were, oh, this person, so-and-so chases, that so-and-so only does this for attention. So-and-so only does this and that and this because they want me or they want this or whatever. But the reality is none of that was actually the truth. But this person kept feeding that narrative to whoever would listen, including themselves, that it started to kind of become a belief that they thought was real. Like, honestly, this person has fallen off the deep end mentally. Like, this person is not okay up here. This person should probably seek some counseling or therapy, maybe even some medication. I'm seeing potential, like, mental health issues that are pretty extreme. But the irony is, like, this collective, like, especially with this idol energy at the bottom of the deck, like, you are shifting into yourself. You're stepping into an Empress energy. You're stepping into your power, and you aren't paying any of this any mind. You're just like, okay, whatever. You can believe what you want to believe. I know what's true. I know what's real. I know who I am. And I feel like that's really triggering this person. Some of you, this is like a practitioner. This is like either this is a practitioner or this person is going to a practitioner or has in the past to try to like do things to stand in the way of your success in your life. At the end of the day, baby, like who cares? That energy is only going to affect you if you allow it. Yeah, and then we have this like obsessive lover. For some of you, this is a past partner. This could have been an ex of yours, an old fling, a spicy friend. Take it how it resonates. But I told y'all this is a karmic energy. This says obsessive lover, dangerous, toxic, unhealthy, possessiveness, and karmic. They do not want you to succeed. This person could be balding. Like for those of you that this is like a traditional man. Um, they're going bald. Literally, this came out. This is what I mean. Like, you are in such a powerful energy. Like, I also feel like part of the reason that this truth is coming to light. So for those of you that resonate with like this person having talked a lot of shit about you and said like a lot of really negative things about like what you were doing and who you were as a person, none of that was proven true. So like time kept going and all of the nasty things they said about you never actually came to light because that's not who you are. This person was making up a version of you that wasn't the real version of you. Or maybe it was an old version of you. Take it how it resonates, okay? But you've been actively healing and working on yourself, and you've shifted into this like respected and admired and maybe even slightly idolized energy from people, that those that they were kind of feeding this narrative to are recognizing the truth. They just keep showing me this like group of people, and this one person is like the ringleader doing a lot of this. And as time has gone by, they're starting to recognize, like the people around them are starting to recognize that this person's just been making shit up. It's been the same old shit. Like this says same shit, different day. So like the people in this person's energy are seeing you as this, recognizing that you've been unbothered from the beginning, that you don't actually care about this situation, that you don't pay any mind to whatever's going on behind closed doors, and that this person is still saying the exact same shit that they said from the very beginning. It's making me think of this TikTok I reposted yesterday. I'm pulling it up. This one. Okay, it's my second repost. And she says, so if I was the problem and the problem was removed, why do you still have all the same problems? Let's get like 2 more and then we're going to end off this. What is this about? Oh my God, suddenly very stubborn energy. Yeah, this person's going through it. Honestly, I feel like this individual is starting to receive a lot of karma because they kept like saying a lot of nasty shit about you. They kept like making up these rumors and spreading these lies and like feeding this false narrative about who you are when it's not actually who you are. And like the reality is you can do things for so long until karma catches up to you, right? Like this person could be using fake accounts to stalk you. I'm also hearing post about you. I don't know, man. I don't love this person's energy. We also have the happiness hater, which also came through in the Patreon. And then we have love on the brain. This is where this collective is. You're focusing on self-love. You're focusing on yourself. You're not paying any mind to this. For some reason, Spirit wants you to know that this is happening, which is ironic because I just told y'all, like, you can't read into other people's energy because it's ethically not okay. But, like, this is more about like what's happening in your 3D. Like for a lot of you, this is something that's physically happening right now. You're either getting confirmation of it physically or like you're about to, but there's something about how like this was consented is what they want me to say. Like, I feel like you have a right to know what's happening to you. No idea. I don't know who that was for, but alrighty. I just keep hearing something about like a bruja. A witch, if you will. I don't know, man. Yeah. And then we have stalker. Like, this is what I mean. Everything you post, everything you do, this person's like the first person to see it. I honestly feel like their friends, the people that they used to complain about you to, are really getting sick and tired of hearing the same old shit. There could be something about a move happening. I feel like that's more, not literal, but like metaphorical. It's like you're moving away from this. So whatever this energy is, you no longer care. You're not paying it any mind. You're focusing on yourself. You're focusing on your movement forward. And I feel like that's why this shift is happening. Don't be surprised if some people come to you to express some tea in the next couple of weeks. Okay? There might be some confirmation coming about this situation. Anyway, that was that. Do we have any questions before we wrap up about the lessons that we've done today? Not about that reading, because I'm not answering any of those questions. Hopefully it could be. You're welcome. I'm going to assume that means there's no questions from anyone. And I've had to pee for like a half an hour, so I might just end it now. I am drinking a protein matcha with oat milk, as I do every day. So that was today's stream, and it was the last one for the week. So we'll be doing another stream next Wednesday, or not Wednesday, next Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that will be another collective reading like we did Tuesday this week. And then the following Thursday, which would be the 19th of February, we will be doing another lesson one, which will be, like I'd mentioned already, probably the Emperor, the Hierophant, and maybe the Lovers. But yeah, I love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you hopefully next week.